Some fish inspire awe, others fear, but one, above all, is simply despised. The Asian carp. This fish has become a symbol of frustration and anger for countless Americans, especially those whose lives and livelihoods are tied to the water. It's not just a fish, it's a living reminder of how quickly things can go wrong when nature is thrown out of balance. In America's rivers, this invader has become a symbol of ecological chaos. Once introduced with good intentions, Asian carp have multiplied at an astonishing rate, overwhelming native species and transforming entire waterways. Unlike legendary monsters, Asian carp are a real, visible threat, one that can be seen, heard, and even felt. Their overwhelming numbers and disruptive behavior have made them infamous among anglers, boaters, and scientists alike. Their most infamous trait, leaping out of the water at the sound of boat motors, sometimes in huge numbers. For boaters, a peaceful ride can turn into a dangerous obstacle course in seconds, as dozens of carp launch themselves into the air, sometimes injuring people and damaging equipment. But the real reason for the hatred runs deeper than just nuisance or danger. It's about what these fish represent, a threat to a way of life, to cherished traditions, and to the delicate balance of nature. Asian carp are outsiders, consuming the food native fish need to survive and pushing entire ecosystems out of balance. They outcompete local species for resources, leaving native fish populations struggling to survive. The ripple effects are felt up and down the food chain, impacting birds, mammals, and even people who depend on healthy rivers. For many, seeing a river overrun by carp is like watching a home destroyed by uninvited guests. The landscape changes, the sounds and sights of native wildlife fade, and a sense of loss settles in. The problem is national, with politicians and scientists scrambling for solutions. From emergency meetings to new laws and high-tech barriers, the fight against Asian carp has become a top priority for communities across the country. The carp invasion is a cautionary tale, how a well-intentioned fix can spiral into a catastrophe. Originally brought in to control algae and weeds, these fish quickly escaped captivity and spread far beyond anyone's expectations. Now, these fish threaten the Great Lakes, a multi-billion-dollar fishing industry, and the very identity of America's waterways. The stakes are enormous, with jobs, recreation, and entire ecosystems hanging in the balance. The battle to stop them is desperate and high stakes. Every new barrier, every net cast, is a race against time to protect what remains. The hatred is born of fear, of what's already lost, and what could still be destroyed. It's a fight not just for fish, but for the future of America's rivers and the communities that depend on them. This is the story of America's most hated fish, a battle that's far from over and a warning for generations to come. And the fight to stop it is one of the most urgent environmental struggles of our time. The Asian carp's journey to America began with good intentions, rooted in the hope of solving a growing problem for southern fish farmers. In the 1970s, catfish farmers in the South faced a persistent challenge. Their ponds were plagued by algae blooms, which threatened the health of their fish and the success of their businesses. Chemical treatments were expensive and risky, so they searched for a more natural solution. Scientists recommended introducing Asian carp, specifically bighead and silver carp, because these fish were famous for their insatiable appetite for plankton and algae. The idea was simple: let the carp clean the ponds, reducing the need for chemicals and keeping the water clear. For a while, the plan seemed to work. The ponds became clearer, and the catfish thrived. But nature, as always, had its own plans. In the 1990s, a series of massive floods swept across the region. The swollen rivers overflowed their banks, breaching the barriers of fish farms and washing thousands of Asian carp into the wild. Suddenly, the carp found themselves in the vast Mississippi River basin, a sprawling network of waterways with few natural predators to keep them in check. With endless food sources and no real threats, the carp population exploded. They quickly outcompeted native fish for resources, disrupting the delicate balance of the ecosystem. What started as a clever, well-meaning solution for fish farmers soon spiraled into an ecological disaster, threatening native species and local economies. The carp began a relentless journey northward, spreading through America's interconnected rivers and lakes, moving far beyond their original introduction sites. Their escape was accidental, but the consequences were monumental, changing the face of American waterways forever. The mighty Mississippi became their highway, carrying them farther and farther from the southern ponds where their American story began. A local fix had unleashed a national crisis. The invasion had begun, and the consequences would ripple across the country for decades to come. Once in the wild, Asian carp multiplied at a staggering rate. A single female can lay up to 2 million eggs a year. Multiplied by millions of fish, the numbers are mind-boggling. In some rivers, Asian carp now make up over 90% of the fish biomass. They outcompete native species, dominating entire ecosystems. America's rivers became highways for their spread, with the Illinois River providing a direct route to the Great Lakes. Scientists watched in alarm as the carp front advanced northward. Electro-fishing surveys revealed thousands where there had once been only a few. The invasion was relentless, transforming rivers in just a few years. The population explosion became a full-scale ecological takeover. The Great Lakes were now in the carp's crosshairs. The clock was ticking. Asian carp's true weapon is their appetite. As filter feeders, they devour plankton, the foundation of the aquatic food web. With plankton gone, native fish starve, and populations of bass, crappie, and bluegill plummet. Rivers once teeming with life become dominated by a single invader. Native mussels, already endangered, are pushed closer to extinction as they compete for food. Even the water changes, clearer, but lifeless, like a desert. Black carp add to the threat, crushing native snails and mussels with powerful jaws. The damage ripples through the ecosystem from microscopic life to top predators. America's rivers are fundamentally altered, the balance is lost, the consequences are profound. The carp invasion isn't just an environmental crisis, it's a human one. Commercial fishermen find their nets filled with carp, while native fish vanish. Recreational fishing and tourism suffer as prize sport fish decline and rivers become hazardous. Boaters and water skiers face real danger from leaping carp, with injuries now common. Families hesitate to enjoy the rivers they once loved. The looming threat to the Great Lakes puts a $7 billion fishing industry at risk. Governments have spent hundreds of millions on barriers and deterrence. The cost is measured in lost jobs, failing businesses, and constant fear. The fight is about more than fish, it's about protecting a way of life. The stakes couldn't be higher. For years, the response to Asian carp was simple: catch and destroy. These invasive fish, originally brought to North America for aquaculture and water treatment, quickly escaped into the wild and began to dominate local waterways. Their rapid spread threatened native species, disrupted ecosystems, and posed a major challenge to both environmentalists and fishermen alike. But as the invasion grew, a new idea emerged. What if the carp could be turned into a resource? Scientists, conservationists, and entrepreneurs started to ask, could this problem actually be an opportunity in disguise? The logic was simple: if you can't beat them, eat them, or sell them. Chefs began experimenting with recipes, discovering that Asian carp was not only edible, but also healthy and versatile in the kitchen. Commercial pressure is the only force proven to control a species at scale. By creating a market for carp, large-scale removal suddenly became possible, offering hope for restoring balance to the rivers. The challenge? Overcoming carp's bad reputation in America. For decades, carp was seen as a bottom feeder, unfit for the dinner table, and convincing consumers to give it a chance would require a major shift in perception. Enter Copy, a rebranding effort to market Asian carp as a sustainable, delicious seafood. The new name was designed to break old stereotypes and introduce the fish to a new generation of adventurous eaters. The goal: create demand, drive profit, and incentivize removal. If people bought and enjoyed Copy, fishermen would have a reason to keep pulling carp from the rivers, turning a nuisance into a valuable commodity. Innovators explored every use: food, animal feed, fish oil, even fertilizer. Nothing was off the table, and every part of the fish was considered for its potential value. The vision: a zero-waste industry that benefits the environment and the economy. By recycling waste and maximizing every resource, the Copy movement aimed to set a new standard for sustainability. Every carp removed is a win for the rivers. Each fish caught means less competition for native species and a step closer to healthier waterways. The war on carp was about to get creative. Marketers, chefs, and business leaders joined forces, brainstorming new ways to make Copy appealing and accessible. A new front had opened: economic opportunity. Entrepreneurs saw the chance to build businesses, create jobs, and help the environment all at once. The pest was becoming a product. What was once a symbol of ecological disaster was now being transformed into a symbol of innovation and hope was on the horizon. With every new idea and every carp removed, the future of America's rivers looked a little brighter. Entrepreneurs got to work, transforming carp into everything from fillets and burgers to pet food and fertilizer. Companies in Kentucky and Illinois invested in processing facilities, rebranding carp as copy and pitching it to chefs and consumers. The story: eating this fish helped save America's rivers. Pet food makers tapped into the carp's high protein content, creating a steady demand. Exporters shipped carp overseas, where it's a prized delicacy. Flash freezing technology kept the fish fresh for global markets. Organic fertilizer producers turned carp into nutrient-rich liquid for farms and gardens. Every part of the fish found a use, nothing was wasted. Fishermen now had a reason to target carp full-time. The economic engine was running, the pest was now a paycheck. The carp industry's rise was fueled by partnerships between businesses, governments, and fishermen. State subsidies made carp fishing profitable, while processors ramped up demand. Specialized gear and new boats turned fishermen into full-time carpers. The industry grew. Pet food, human food, fertilizer, and exports all played a role. By the early 2020s, the value of the carp industry reached $12 million a year. It's small compared to the potential damage, but it's a monumental shift. A worthless pest had become a valuable commodity. The market-based solution was working. Every carp caught was one less threat to America's rivers. The fight was paying off. The battle against Asian carp is far from over. The top priority: defend the Great Lakes with billion-dollar barriers and cutting-edge technology. Commercial harvesting will keep pressure on carp populations in infested rivers. The goal isn't eradication, but control, keeping numbers low and expansion slow. Scientists are developing targeted poisons, pheromone traps, and new removal methods. The fight will require constant innovation and adaptation. Engineers, fishermen, entrepreneurs, and scientists all have a role to play. The carp invasion is a hard lesson in unintended consequences, but it's also a story of resilience and ingenuity. America's most hated fish may never be gone, but the fight to control it is just beginning.